Look around you. The masses are moving in a perpetual, exhausted rhythm, trading the finite resource of their lifespan for the illusion of security. They have been conditioned from birth to believe in a fundamental falsehood, the myth of meritocracy. They operate under the delusion that wealth is a cosmic reward for moral virtue, for suffering, or for burning calories in the furnace of hard work. You are watching them drown in a game where they do not even know the rules. The architecture of modern wealth has nothing to do with fairness and everything to do with the precise, surgical application of leverage. To step outside this matrix of mediocrity, you must first amputate the moral attachments you have to money. Capital is entirely agnostic. It does not care if you are a saint or a sinner. It only obeys the laws of gravity, flowing inevitably toward those who construct the heaviest gravitational pull. This pull is not generated by desperation. It is generated by the strategic cultivation of a void. When the average person approaches the marketplace, they arrive leaking need. Their nervous system is hijacked by the scarcity heuristic. They want the contract, the raise, the investment, and their biology betrays them. Their cortisol spikes, their vocal cords tighten, their blink rate increases, and their micro-expressions broadcast subservience. In the silent dialogue of mirror neurons, the person across the table instantly categorizes them as prey. Money does not move toward need, it is repelled by it. Capital seeks certainty, and certainty is the emotional signature of the predator who does not need to eat today. To command wealth, you must first master the dopamine regulation of a sociopath in a negotiation. You must detach your internal state from the outcome of the external interaction. The first truth you must swallow is that your value is entirely an optical illusion crafted by your distance from the other person's grasp. This is the mechanics of the void. When you occupy a space of total accessibility, you commoditize yourself. You become a mere utility, and utilities are negotiated down to their lowest possible margin. Kings and sovereign entities do not barter. They dictate terms through their absence. By engineering artificial scarcity around your presence, your insights, and your labor, you force the market to project infinite value onto the blank canvas you provide. Silence is not merely the absence of noise. It is an active, aggressive weapon in the extraction of capital. When you state your price and let the silence stretch until it becomes physically uncomfortable for the other party, you are testing their psychological endurance. The one who breaks the silence first is the one whose dopamine baseline is weakest. They are the ones who cannot tolerate the ambiguity of the void. You must view every transaction as a chessboard where the pieces are not products or services, but human insecurities. The modern Machiavellian understands that people do not buy solutions. They buy the alleviation of their own anxiety. To extract maximum capital, you must first locate the structural weakness in your opponent's psychological armor. You must map their fear of loss. The human brain is hardwired to fear losing what it already has twice as much as it desires gaining something new. When you position your offering not as a path to a better future, but as the only barricade preventing an immediate and catastrophic loss of status or resources, you bypass their logical prefrontal cortex and inject your demand directly into their reptilian brain. You are no longer selling. You are offering a lifeline to a drowning man. And a drowning man does not negotiate the price of oxygen. This requires a fundamental rewiring of your empathy. Empathy, in the traditional sense, is a liability in the architecture of wealth creation. It causes you to absorb the emotional friction of the person you are extracting from, leading you to soften your demands or compromise your leverage. You must replace emotional empathy with cognitive empathy. You must understand their pain with the cold precision of a surgeon reading an X-ray, without ever feeling the blade. You map their desires, their vanities, and their deepest insecurities, and you use this telemetry to construct a reality where submitting to your terms is their only logical escape. They must feel that they are making the choice, even as you actively construct the walls of the maze they are running through. This architecture of control relies entirely on the calibration of perception, not the crude substance of reality. The amateur believes that working harder, refining their craft to a microscopic degree, or accumulating more degrees will mathematically translate into a higher valuation. They are trading in the currency of the peasantry. True power understands that value is an agreement forged in the theater of the mind, dictated by the one who controls the narrative frame. If you enter a room and immediately attempt to prove your worth, you have already surrendered the high ground. The act of proving oneself is inherently a low-status behavior. It is a plea for validation from an external judge. The sovereign mind does not submit evidence to a court it does not recognize. Instead, you must master the art of controlled contempt, not a juvenile arrogance or a loud, fragile ego, but a glacial, terrifying indifference to the validation of the person sitting across from you. When your neurological baseline remains unmoved by their praise and indifferent to their rejection, you shatter their reality. They are accustomed to sycophants who dance for scraps of capital. Your stillness introduces a cognitive dissonance they can only resolve by assuming your power dwarfs their own. To weaponize this indifference, you must understand the asymmetry of information and how it governs the flow of capital. Wealth is not created, it is transferred from those who do not understand the game to those who do. The matrix is sustained by keeping the masses entirely focused on symmetric exchanges, trading an hour of labor for a fixed, predictable sum of currency. They are trapped in a linear equation that terminates in the grave. The Machiavellian operator breaks this equation by constructing asymmetric leverage. You build systems, algorithms, and networks of human capital that operate entirely divorced from your biological clock. You are no longer trading your lifespan. You are skimming the surplus value from the energy expended by others. But to orchestrate this extraction, you must hoard information while projecting absolute transparency. You give the illusion of candor, feeding them carefully curated truths that satisfy their need for security, while guarding the critical data points that grant you leverage. You let them believe they are the ones driving the negotiation, that they have secured a victory, because a pacified opponent is a predictable opponent. This brings us to the biology of submission. When you allow someone to feel they have won a minor concession, you trigger a dopamine release in their brain. They feel intelligent. They feel dominant. This is the precise moment they are most vulnerable. Their guard drops, their critical thinking is anesthetized by the neurochemical reward, and they become blind to the larger structural trap you have just locked them into. You have conceded the battle for pennies to win the war for the entire treasury. You are playing on a dimensional plane they do not even know exists. While they are obsessed with the immediate gratification of a minor discount or a superficial clause, you have secured the foundational architecture of the contract, the silent mechanisms that will continuously funnel resources into your domain long after the ink has dried. You must view them not as partners, but as biological mechanisms reacting predictably to stimuli. By carefully administering the stimuli, a perfectly timed pause, a subtle shift in posture, a fractional lowering of the vocal register, you bypass their conscious defenses entirely. Consider the physical space of wealth creation. The predator does not hunt in the open field where they can be observed and analyzed. They drag their prey into an environment they control. In the dynamics of high-stakes exchange, the one who dictates the setting dictates the terms. Never negotiate in an environment where your opponent feels biologically secure. You must uproot them. Place them in a theater of your own design, where the lighting, the seating arrangement, and the subtle temporal pressures all collude to erode their baseline certainty. When they step into your domain, their sensory processing bandwidth is immediately taxed by navigating unfamiliar territory. Their cognitive load increases, leaving less processing power available to detect your strategic maneuvering. You are systematically dismantling their psychological infrastructure before a single word of commerce is even spoken. You strip them of their home court advantage, reducing them to reactive entities. They are no longer playing to win. They are playing to avoid making a fatal error in a landscape they do not understand. And the moment they shift from an offensive posture to a defensive one, The capital they hold is already yours. It is merely waiting for the formal transfer protocols to complete. Once the formal transfer protocols are initiated, you must immediately introduce the weapon of time. The masses view time as a linear, benign chronology. The architect views time as a psychological vice, to be tightened at will. Urgency is the ultimate solvent of rational thought. When you artificially compress the temporal window of an opportunity, you force the executive functioning of their prefrontal cortex to shut down. Their amygdala takes over, flooding their nervous system with the biological terror of scarcity. They are no longer making a calculated investment. They are desperately fleeing the pain of missing out. You do not rush them verbally, for that would signal need. Your physical posture remains glacial, your voice monotonous and slow. But the structural parameters of the deal suddenly shrink. You quietly withdraw availability. You let the silence stretch while the clock ticks, watching the biological decay of their resolve. This withdrawal must be surgical, employing the mechanics of the phantom competitor. You never explicitly state that someone else is taking the deal. Doing so is crude and transparent. Instead, you allow their own paranoia to construct the rival in the shadows. Human beings do not fundamentally value what is easily obtained, but they will burn their own empires to ash to prevent a perceived rival from claiming a prize. You weaponize their evolutionary jealousy. By planting microscopic, ambiguous seeds of doubt, a glance at a screen, a suddenly rescheduled meeting, a delayed response to an urgent inquiry, you trigger their competitive anxiety. They are no longer negotiating with you. They are fighting a ghost in their own mind for the privilege of handing you their wealth. You simply observe the psychological carnage from above and prepare to collect the spoils of their self-destruction. To sustain this extraction at scale, you must move beyond individual transactions and architect a network of asymmetrical social debt. The amateur attempts to network by asking for favors, immediately revealing their subservience and placing themselves at the bottom of the hierarchy. The sovereign operator networks by manufacturing obligations. You provide high-leverage, low-cost value to targets of high utility before they ever realize they need it. You solve a problem they did not know they had, and you do it with chilling efficiency, but you never ask for compensation in the moment. You let the unstated debt fester in the dark. Human psychology inherently despises an unbalanced ledger. It creates an invisible, psychic weight, a cognitive itch they cannot scratch. When the time comes for you to extract capital, you do not ask for a return favor. You simply present an opportunity for them to balance the scales. They will drastically overpay, hemorrhaging resources just to relieve the psychological pressure of the invisible chains you designed. You are building an ecosystem where you are the sole indispensable node, a spider resting motionless at the center of a web of dependencies. The true measure of Machiavellian wealth is not the stagnant capital resting in your accounts, but the magnitude of the dynamic dependencies you control. You must ensure that the individuals, corporations, and institutions funneling money into your matrix cannot survive without your specific structural input. You become the deliberate bottleneck in their survival. If they attempt to remove you, their own internal systems collapse. This requires you to entirely abstract your knowledge and your processes. You never teach them how the engine works. You only rent them the keys to turn the ignition. The exact moment you make yourself understandable, you make yourself replaceable, and you have destroyed your leverage. You must cultivate an aura of necessary complexity. This complexity isolates them. When they cannot map the architecture of the value you provide, they are forced to trust you implicitly. And forced trust is the purest, most lucrative form of subjugation. You are feeding their minds with the comfortable illusion of partnership and mutual growth, while systematically removing their exits one by one. They believe they are walking alongside you as equals in the marketplace. In reality, they are locked in a hermetically sealed room where you control the oxygen supply, and they are paying you a daily premium simply for the privilege of inhaling. They will defend you, justify your costs to others, and eagerly protect the very system that drains them. because to acknowledge the reality of their subjugation would shatter their ego. To shatter that ego is to invite the collapse of their entire psychological framework, and humans will pay any price to avoid that terminal breakdown. This is the ultimate realization of your design, the direct monetization of their cognitive dissonance. You do not conquer them by blunt force or loud declarations of dominance. You conquer them by quietly becoming the load-bearing pillar of their reality. When their identity becomes inextricably linked to the value you provide, they will drain their own reserves to sustain you. As you ascend this hierarchy and master these dynamics, you will notice a profound and chilling shift in the atmosphere. The frantic, desperate noise of the lower echelons, the aggressive marketing, the constant networking, the exhausting, frictionless hustle of the masses fades into absolute silence. In the upper stratospheres of capital, physical movement is minimal. Energy is hoarded, never expended frivolously. The sovereign does not run sprinting towards wealth. He calculates the exact topological coordinates where wealth is biologically and structurally forced to flow, and he simply stands there. He waits with the terrifying stillness of a predator who understands that the trap is already sprung, even if the prey is still breathing. Observe the geometry of this waiting. The apex predator does not negotiate with the terrain. He leverages it. When you have successfully constructed the void, mapped their insecurities, and bound them in a web of asymmetrical debt, your physical presence alone becomes a gravity well. You will find that opportunities no longer need to be hunted. They will gravitate toward your silence, drawn by the irresistible mass of your detachment. The individuals you have captured in your ecosystem will begin to cannibalize each other for the privilege of your proximity. They will offer you their equity, their networks, and their most guarded secrets, all in a desperate bid to secure their position within the hierarchy you control. You accept these offerings, not with gratitude, for gratitude implies a debt owed, but with the cold acknowledgement of a king receiving a tax. You are absorbing their momentum, converting their kinetic energy into your permanent potential energy. This is the true alchemy of Machiavellian wealth. You are transmuting their biological desperation into your sovereign capital. To reach this coordinate, you must look in the mirror and surgically excise the lingering remnants of your own conditioning. You must strip away the pathetic desire to be liked. You must amputate the instinct to be fair. And you must ruthlessly suppress the biological urge to compromise your leverage in exchange for fleeting social comfort. These are the invisible chains of the mediocre, the operating system installed in you by a society that needs obedient workers, not formidable kings. The matrix relies entirely on your compliance to these moral illusions. It needs you to believe in the nobility of sacrifice so that you continue producing surplus value for the unseen architects above you. To break free from this farm, you must become an architect yourself. You must look upon the marketplace not as a community of peers, but as a vast, predictable biological machine, where every interaction is an opportunity to extract leverage, to bind assets, and to incrementally elevate your unassailable position. You are no longer playing for the weekend, for the illusion of a retirement, or for the pathetic validation of a manager who is just as trapped as you are. You are playing for absolute sovereignty. Understand that true sovereignty is the ultimate isolation. It is the cold, heavy realization that no one is coming to save you. But more importantly, it is the empowering certainty that no one possesses the capacity to stop you once you master the silent mechanics of power. You have been handed the blueprints to the psychological engine that drives the world. The uninitiated will look at your sudden, vertical ascent and desperately call it luck. The defeated, those you have outmaneuvered and extracted from, will cry out and call it ruthless. You will not hear them. You will simply look down from the impenetrable fortress of your autonomy, observe the predictable mechanics of their outrage, and call it physics. The void is waiting to be shaped by your indifference. The levers of human psychology are exposed, raw, and vulnerable, waiting for a hand cold enough to pull them without hesitation. Step into the silence, claim the architecture,